Welcome to The Agenda. My name is Abiodun Famujuro. In the continuation of our two-part series, where we started off by asking the question or making the statement, I want SABI, I want to know, I want to be engaged. It takes us to the next subject matter of the fact that when you are engaged, how do you play your part? I was joined by Olumide Ibikunle, and he's still very much here with me, and we will continue the discourse. Olumide, thank you so much for being with us as we continue in this conversation. How do we encourage political participation and awareness beyond elections, but emphatically beyond presidential elections? I need to state that again. How do we promote political participation and awareness beyond elections, beyond presidential elections? Because in Nigeria, every 4 years, interestingly, every 3.5 years, the citizens wake up and they realize, oh, we need a new president. They forget about local government, councillor, state house of assembly, members of the house of rep, senators, and everybody is obsessed with the president. 3.5 years later, which gives us about 6 to 8 months to prepare for the next election. Should political participation just be about elections? Should political awareness just be an obsession about who becomes the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? This is about playing your part.
I think our national consciousness needs to change. Prior to this time, there used to be so much focus on the center. And I dare say it's possibly as a result of the fact that so much power is arrogated to the center in Nigeria. The federal government seems to wield everything.
Is that representative of a true federal system?
Let's go back to the 1999 Constitution, which, if you ask me, is flawed in many respects.
But that is the 1999 Constitution as amended.
As amended.
Because amendments keep going on.
Correct. I mean, I agree with that. My point is, as amended as it is, there are still so many flaws, right? A constitution that is founded on collecting revenues from oil, allocating those revenues to the federating units, to the states, to the local governments. A constitution that is built on that would always have the electorate focus so much on the center, rather than from the grassroots. So, prior to this time, what we've always had was that undue focus on the center. But I think that consciousness changed recently. It was about to change. What happened? I'll refer back to October 2020, when it seemed as though we had a jolt. Especially young people in Nigeria had a jolt and began to protest against police brutality in Nigeria, what is now the globally acclaimed NSAS protests. Citizens realized the powers that they had beyond elections to enforce change in the country. Citizens organized. Essentially, not just citizens. We're talking here about young people between the ages of 18 and 30. Worst case, you've possibly had about 18 to 40. They were 40-year-old, maybe a few 40-year-olds. But it was a youth movement of people who saw a lot of things wrong with their country beyond police brutality. At some point, those protests evolved beyond just a protest about police brutality and evolved into a protest about everything that was wrong with Nigeria. The expectation was that that consciousness, that jolt of energy would be sustained for the next 3 years into the presidential election. However,
that did not
happen. Right. Well, it was a
wake-up call.
Not just a wake-up call, but it was some sort of how do I put this now? It was some sort of
a eureka moment.
Well, yes, if you say an eureka moment, but I'm looking for a particular word now. What I'm trying to say is, it was a pointer to what was possible if citizens, whether they are young, whether they are old, if citizens woke up and engaged the government beyond elections. Yes, elections are always a 4-year affair. You have election, just like you said. Most people wake up, what, 5-6 months, worst case, 1 year to the elections. By which time it is too late. The game of politics should really commence immediately the elections are done. You have to begin to follow up with your elected representatives at whatever level they are in. Whether they are local government, whether they are state government, federal government, you need to begin to engage with them from when the elections end. I remember in 2015, for over 6 months after we had an elected president in this country, we did not have a cabinet. After the engagement started, immediate elections were over. We needed to have his cabinet in place by the time he was being sworn in, so that work could begin in earnest. And that's why it seemed like as though there was some sort of lethargy with the work. 1 year in, 2 years in, it seemed like nothing was happening. It seemed like no one was ready to work because we did not begin the engagement immediately. What we were told was that he needed to take his time to decide who he was going to bring into the cabinet. That does not make any sense. If you are running for the highest office in the land, and I dare say any office in the land, you should have your plans, you should have your team ready before you are elected. What else suggests if you are 6 months into your tenure, you do not have you don't have a cabinet, what else suggests is you were never ready for that position in the first instance.
So, but the question is this: it is playing your part.
Right.
If the citizens did not cry out as much as they should,
right?
If the citizens did not play their part for accountability,
right?
There are many elected representatives who their performance is abysmal. The citizens do not play their part in election, voting.
Right.
The social media space is a very interesting space. But there are certain persons who will stand on the queue on the day of election. They don't have a Twitter handle. They don't know what Instagram is. They are clueless about Facebook.
Right.
But they will always vote. They are some of them are easily bought over.
Easy to manipulate.
Those who appear to be enlightened, shouldn't they do a better job by engaging those who, quote and unquote, are not as enlightened as they are, to ensure that, because I perceive, and you can correct this in your contribution, playing your part, we have empowered the worst of us,
right,
to rule the best of us.
Correct.
And it will not change because the best of us say politics is a dirty game.
Stand back.
And I don't want to solve myself. The question is, it's a game determined by actors. In every actor, you have a villain, right. You have a protagonist, you have an antagonist. Shouldn't we play our part by engaging persons who, for them, the bag of rice, the granite oil is all they will ever get. And they will simply tell you, if that is the only thing I get it. But I've gotten it. Ignoring the fact that it will not last them for more than a month. And they are talking about a 4-year journey.
I'll say two things. If a lot of that is changing, and that to buttress my point, I'll say two things. During the NSAS protests in 2020, one thing that came out very strongly was the fact that people needed to begin to know who their representatives were. Let the president allow him do his thing, leave the cabinet, let them do what they're doing. But who is your representative for your local government? Who are they? All over those places, phone numbers were distributed, email addresses were distributed. Begin to call your representatives. This is wrong, we need to fix it. Call your representatives, this is wrong, we need to fix it. A lot of that was happening. That's one side to the story. So I'm telling you that the consciousness that we have elected representatives beyond governors and beyond presidents is changing, because we know we have people in state houses of assemblies, we have people in the Senate, we have people in the House of Representatives, who we can also reach out to air our grievances about whatever is happening in the country. That's one side to the story. The second side to the story is, I personally believe that the efforts of the youth is beginning to pay some dividends in terms of offline engagement. Before now, one of the problems that was associated, or that was considered, that was associated with the youth, was they were always online, doing nothing else offline, not mobilizing in the grassroots, but just simply online, trying to garner votes. And it was not going to work. We saw it in 2015. We saw it in 2019. And this is 2023. What did we realize? We evolved over time and realized that beyond online participation, it's important to engage people at the grassroots level offline. And so what has been happening? We see a lot of people going around towns and at this point in time, the pictures are shared all over the place. Towns and villages right now, educating people about who to vote for.
Do you not think,
and why to vote?
Olumide, sorry to interrupt you. Do you not think that this is
a little too late?
A little too late.
Yes, if you ask me, I think it's a little too late. We should have run on the energy that we had in 2020 through till now. It didn't happen, right? If you ask me personally, I'm going to hear my very, very honest opinion here.
Okay. Before you give us your honest opinion, don't forget what you were going to say.
Right.
We need to go for a short commercial break. When we come back, Olumide Ibikunle will be giving us his honest opinion about the offline engagement of playing your part. This is the agenda. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Before we went on a short commercial break, we were about to get an honest opinion from Olumide Ibikunle. We are talking about playing your part in this two-part series, which we started with I Want SABI. Olumide, give it to us.
In 2023, I don't think we'll get it right in terms of who we elect as the president. It's my opinion.
You don't think?
I don't think we will get it right just yet. But I believe we'll make a statement. And that statement, again, like I said, will be a pointer of what is to come if we devote a lot more resources in terms of time, in terms of men, to this cause. We started late. All of the buzz around who should be president did not start until what? Maybe about a year ago. Maybe about what? 6 months ago.
6 months ago.
Right? We're now about 6 months to the election. So give or take, the entire buzz has lasted maybe just 1 year. It's not enough to go into the hinterland to educate people, to sensitize people on, you know, what we say about the quality of the polity is defined by the quality of the politics. It was not enough time to go into the hinterland to share this message with people. It was not enough to go into the hinterland and disabuse people's minds about religious sentiments, tribal sentiments, which seem to have been the major issues that govern Nigeria's elections. In Nigeria right now, we don't, the non-issues are the things that we focus on. Oh, he's of what tribe? Oh, he's of what religion? These are the things that drive the electoral discourse, right? The actual real issues around the economy, around health, when people begin
around security, infrastructure,
when people begin to realize that whether they get a hospital or not, and even if they get a hospital, whether the hospital functions or not, falls on leadership, then they make better choices. When people actually begin to realize that whether they go to school or their lecturers go on strike for months, almost a year, or not, falls on leadership, then they begin to make the right choices. When we begin to realize that the death traps that we call roads can only change based on the quality of the representatives that they elect, then their minds will change. But you can't do all of that in 1 year. It has to take what? 4 years is not even enough to cut it. But I'm glad that consciousness started not in 2022. That consciousness started 2 years ago, right? And we have, beyond 2023, another 4 years, 2027. So that is about 7 years between 2020 and 2027 to drive that message home, to organize at the grassroots level, to organize with all sorts of media, whether it's traditional media or new media. One thing I realize is the young people of today who are essentially driving that conversation would have come of age by 2027 in terms of resources. They have advanced in their careers, they have advanced in their businesses, they have a lot more money, they are networked better, they have a lot more, they have a lot more at their disposal to drive what they want in the country. So personally, I believe 2023 might not be the year we get it right, but it's a year to make a statement, and it's a year to get prepared for the next election.
Olumide, I have a thought process that I want to run by you, and I need your contribution. That's why you're here. For 6 months, certain students of federal universities have been at home. There's been a conflict between the lecturers and the federal government. this is a large voting bloc.
Correct.
This is a large group of persons who, if their voices are heard and their votes count, shouldn't the narrative change? If they decide to play their part, 6 months in the life of a young person in this generation and time and age with the advancement of technology is a lifetime. Shouldn't the narrative change? Why are we giving up on 2023? Not only at the presidential level, but across board. If this is a massive voting bloc that has been cut off, some persons in their calculation were meant to be graduates. They're not graduating anytime soon.
I agree with this. If there is any hope of recovering Nigeria in 2023, it will fall on this block that you just mentioned.
On this voting block.
On this voting block. But do I think the message is clear enough yet? I don't.
You do not think that they've gotten the message strong enough?
I don't think they have gotten the message strongly enough.
Why?
Just yet. If that falls on the quality of our education system as it is, perhaps that's it. But I do not think. Prior to this time, there's been a lot of talk about voter apathy amongst the young people, right? Coming into that consciousness has taken a while. It has finally happened. But has it happened in such a way that they are now all aware that it falls on leadership? I don't think that has happened just yet. That's one side to it. The other side to it is we still have entire groups of young people who do not think they will vote on the election day. Why? What are the traditional things that drive voter apathy, right?
Insecurity.
Voter intimidation. Insecurity. The thought that regardless of what you do,
the votes do not count. But
right?
Votes do count.
We know that vote counts, right? I can't remember who I was listening to who said for a federal House of Representatives or Senate position, all you need is what? Maybe 5,000, 10,000 votes, right? We know that votes do count, right? But there is that hardwired perception or perspective that votes do not count. And that the center always hijacks the process.
Meaning that those who are meant to play their part in crafting a narrative that advances the course of a great nation are quiet.
That's why I said we have not gotten that message as strongly, out as strongly as it should be. Remember what I said? We started late. We started about 1 year to the election.
Better late than never.
But obviously, better late than never. But for this particular election, I personally believe that we started our mobilization late. For you to counter voter apathy, you have to secure the polling booths. For you to counter voter apathy, you have to ensure that your eyes and your ears are on the ground at all the polling booths across the country. A great thing that has happened to Nigeria recently is the signing of the electoral law, the new electoral act, right? And the beavers, that allows for you to immediately upload the results. You are not taking our results anywhere to count. But would we have men on ground in every polling booth across the country on election day? Maybe that will not happen. So if that doesn't happen, what does that suggest? That there will still be cases of discrepancies here and there, right? So the fears are not unfounded. The fears are real because this is what happens. We have an example from what happened in Osun, right? These people decided, we want to take this back. They stood their ground. In fact, it wasn't even young people that did this. It was older people who did this, right? But my point is, has this narrative gone around the entire country? There are still entire swaths of this nation who represent, perhaps, I'll dare say, the majority, who do not understand these issues, who are not educated enough to understand these issues, who millions of them are out of school. So in the first instance, they do not understand the rules of engagement. They do not understand anything. So based on that, they vote on the basis of whatever they are manipulated to vote on the basis of, right? Religion, ethnicity, or is our man, or is from our religion. An entire group of people vote, almost an entire group of people vote on that basis.
Olumide, in essence, what you're saying is that a great population of persons who are meant to be playing their part are not playing their part.
Because they do not know what they do not have a basis for whatever they are doing. They are instructed to act a certain way, and they do that because they are not educated enough. I always say one thing, that illiteracy, beyond poverty, illiteracy is being weaponized in this country.
It's been weaponized.
It's being weaponized.
Can I ask you a question? Please don't forget what you were going to say, but I need to ask you. There is a perception that there is a superiority complex of the educated minority. They believe that they know better, but they don't do better. In the place of election, it is a perception. Note, this is not peculiar to me. I'm sharing a perception. So the illiterate majority, they have been able to do the things they've been doing because no one has shown them a better way. So instead of engagement, a synergy between the educated minority and the so-called illiterate majority, there's no synergy because there's a superiority complex. They are there, we are here. If they knew better, they don't know better, but they have been the ones voting for those who have ruled over you, even though you know better. How is this playing your part?
The educated minority, they live in their own cocoons, right? They supposedly know better. They discuss on the basis of the issues, the actual issues. They know who to elect. And possibly on election day, they go there and elect who they should elect on the basis of the analysis of competence, based on analysis of understanding of the issues and all of that, right? Why I said they live in their cocoons is the majority that vote in Nigeria, just as you have said, are people who are not educated, who are not literate enough. And the work that I said needs to be done is to bring these people over to your side, to begin to see things from the point of issues.
Hold on, Mr. Ibikunle. We need to go for a short commercial break. I want to see things the way he's saying it. When we come back, we will be rounding off. But before then, he will tell us about seeing things the way both sides need to see it. That wall must come down. See you soon. Welcome back. This is still the agenda. And we're talking about playing your part in a two-part series where we started with I Want SABI. Olumide Ibikunle is still with us. Tell us, breaking down the walls, the educated minority and the supposedly illiterate majority.
The educated minority, like we have already established, is elitist. They live in their glass houses, right? And they believe they know it all. And as a result of that, they make their decisions on the basis of issues and not on the basis of sentiment. If you saw the series, The Men Who Made America, Men Who Built America, anyone who saw that series, would realize that the elites, the billionaires in the American society, how did they grow? They picked sectors: rail, essentially solving transportation; oil, essentially solving literally everything. Picked major sectors, built those sectors, and made money from those sectors. When they had made money, what was the next thing to do? Protect their empires. How did they protect their empires? By electing the government. By essentially electing the government with their money. How do you elect the government with your money? What does it take to elect the president in the United States of America? What, $2 billion? What do you need all of that money for? You need to do a lot of media. You need to do a lot of propaganda. You need to do a lot of mass mobilization. Even though in Nigeria, we call it mass mobilization, I call it voter buying. Vote buying. It's what we do in this country. It is what it is. My point is, you need a lot of money, right, to do that. We, who are supposedly educated, who are supposedly elitist, should be doing all of that mobilization of resources, of men. So the reality is that you don't actually have to go, you don't have to go to the village. But your money can go there. How would your money get there? Buying slots in media house, buying slots on radio, buying slots on TV, buying pages in the newspapers, sending a consistent message, changing the narrative through the media, through every other means.
What about the educated minority contributing their role in the place of infrastructure, health, and welfare.
I was getting there as well. That beyond actual participation in elections, I think that maybe it's a new breed of Nigerians, but gradually growing, who are giving back to the society, supposedly giving back to the society through NGOs, through civil society groups, all of that. These are the things that you do that draw people
Closer.
These are the things that you do that change the perception that people have about these things. They no longer expect a candidate to come 3 months, 6 months to the elections and begin to woo them with noodles or rice or beans. Because consistently, there are people who have shown them what is possible. Right? Consistently, there are people who don't want their votes for themselves, but who have changed the narrative by showing them what is possible. Empowerment, essentially giving them jobs, creating jobs for them, creating an environment that works for them. And then when it comes to the time, someone who you have fed, you essentially have his brain in your hands. You tell him what to do. And that's what the politicians weaponize. Poverty, hunger, illiteracy. When it's 2 weeks to the elections, one day, in fact, 3 days to the elections, what do? They take 5,000 and go to the electorates. Give them that money.
Allegedly.
Well,
because most of those claims they've not been verified. Allegedly.
Well, allegedly. I agree, allegedly. But these are the things that we hear happen, right? To buy over the electorate. A few days, a few weeks to the elections. If these things have happened consistently over 4 years, if educated, elite, enlightened people have taken it upon themselves to form groups and work over a period of time. And this organization, this mobilization, I don't think should be difficult. Organize yourselves into clusters. Organize yourselves into clusters. This group of people face this cluster, do the work. This other group of people face that other cluster, do the work. Over 4 years. By the time it's time to vote, it's not a difficult sell at all. It's a very easy sell because you have shown them what is possible over time and what the candidate that you expect has the capacity, what he represents. You have shown them consistently over a 4-year period. I mean, this is what needs to be done.
Thank you very much, Olumide Ibikunle. It's been a great delight. I did not know you as a politician. Now you strike me as someone in the mobilization position. I'm not going to ask you your candidate is, but I wish you the very best. And I thank you for coming onto the platform of the agenda. Well. Wherever you are, Nigeria is ours as a nation. Believe the best of your nation, but most importantly, play your part. This is us playing our part. We look forward to seeing you again on the agenda. We look forward to your feedback, which you can share with us on all the social media displayed on the screen. We look forward to you telling us that you took the information you received on this platform and you did something with it. Knowledge should not be knowledge for its sake. There must be important application. If you're dissatisfied with the status quo, do something about it. Don't just talk about it, but do something. Our time is now. This nation belongs to each and every one of us. And we want a scenario where foreigners, expatriates, will plead to have our passport as theirs. Till I come your way next time, my name remains Abiodun Famujura. This is The Agenda. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.